No.
What time is it, Ben?
No, Johnny.
Say it!
I don't wanna!
Say it!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Let's Talk Stuff podcast where I talk about whatever I feel like. And it's been a while since I've been on here, but I wanted to talk about a couple things. So this won't be a very long one. It'll just be kind of like short. I'll see if I can go up to like 20 minutes, see how that is. But first announcement. I will be ending the Lex Talk Stuff podcast. But don't fret, we will be coming back as the Zach and Lex Talk Stuff podcast. That's right. Zach Lambert, who has been on this show numerous times, he and I have decided to band together and create our own podcast. So this is more of a rebirthing of Lex Talk Stuff rather than a a permanent end. And so I do plan on having my 25th and final episode of the show be a bunch of guests come in. I'm in the midst of scheduling that right now. I don't know when that'll come out, but all I know is that we will be doing a final episode where we'll just be talking about whatever, like we said on the show multiple times. And so, yeah, I just, a lot of stuff had been going on in my personal life, and I decided I needed to change some stuff. And not to get too personal, but I was talking to a coworker of mine who I'll name drop here, Pamela Watts. She's a reporter who works at Rhode Island PBS. Sweetest thing possible. She's been an anchor and a reporter for a long time, and she's fantastic, and she's so sweet. And I was talking to her about something. I was like, "Well, Pamela, what's something that makes you happy? Like, are you happy in your life, and what do you think is the key to getting there?" And we talked about some things, and one thing she said that really stuck out in my mind is you need to give yourself something to look forward to. If you give yourself something to look forward to, it tends to brighten your mood and make you feel more positive, and that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to give myself stuff to look forward to. And I I've been thinking to myself like, well, what would I look forward to the most? Every couple of weeks, doing a podcast episode with Zach, who I think is probably one of my dearest friends on the planet. We're going over some of the minutia on that, but we're holding off on a little bit because I am currently building a PC right now. I've assembled all the parts. All of it is physically working, but I am trying to like get some stuff up and trying to get the boot drive up and running, but it's like a software issue or this or that or like building computers is not my specialty, despite what my dad thinks. Well, didn't you go to school for this? No, Dad, I didn't go to school for this. I don't know how to build computers. I know how to work off of them. But so, I've been trying to put that together, try to get together with some of my friends that do put computers together and trying to work out a lot of these bugs and see how far we can get and see what we can do. I also want to say that a while ago, I finished the first draft of my screenplay. I'm not gonna drop the name of it yet because maybe it might change, it might not. Who knows? Uh, I feel confident with it. I think I just need to do some rewrites, but overall, I feel good with it. What else is new? I, I've been trying to create some new projects at work. I Also started taking some acting classes, so that's been really fun. The group that I go see are at Trinity Rep, and those guys are really great. And I love the people that I've been going to classes with. They're very sweet, they're very nice, and very welcoming. We had a really fun first session, and I'm gonna be seeing them tomorrow night. So there's another thing to look forward to. Also, I also have been doing stand-up comedy. I did one night like a month ago where I wrote some material. I went up on stage for like 6 minutes. So I was glad that I managed to cut 4 minutes of material. I had 10 minutes of material and they were like, you only get six. And so in my head I was like, oh thank God. So I managed so I cut some material for time and went on from there. And that's so yeah, I've been doing that. I'm gonna do that again next week, 29th, and I think it's gonna be really, really cool. I'm really looking forward to it, and you know, I'm excited. I think it's really fun, like being on stage and being in front of all those people and just doing my punchlines and my comedy routine actually felt really nice. Like I wasn't nervous, I wasn't panicking. I felt kind of comfortable up there. Now, I'm not saying that, oh, I'm going to go fully into stand-up comedy. That's going to be my future from now on. No, 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 no. It's just me doing it as like a side gig. It's nothing that I'm going to do as like a huge I'm not going to be a Bill Burr or a Jim Gaffigan or a Patton Oswalt or like I can't be one of those guys. I can't do that for a living. It would drive me crazy because even I don't think I'm funny, but some people think I am, so I'm taking the win where I can. And yeah, so this kind of feels more like a traditional episode of the Lex Talk Stuff podcast where I just kind of ramble on about whatever's on my mind and just go from there, and it's not really topic focused. However, I will be talking about one thing today, and that is what I thought of the Fantastic Four First Steps movie. I loved it. I really loved it. I'll do a quick non-spoiler review. So, Fantastic Four First Steps, I think, is a really solid entry in the MCU. Pretty self-contained. I'll dive into later of why it's so self-contained. I really love uh, Pedro Pascal's performance as Reed. I love Vanessa Kirby's performance as Sue. I love Ebon Moss-Bachrach's performance as Ben Grimm, the Thing. I love Joseph Quinn as Human Torch. And yeah, everyone in the cast is great. Like, I don't think there's any bad casting here. And I think that the visuals look great. I think that the characters are interesting. Not they don't really there isn't a ton of character development in the movie. Not to say that there isn't any, there is some. Uh but overall, like, I think it's a really good movie that gets the Fantastic Four and really like honors what Jack Kirby and Stan Lee laid the foundation for in the 60s. So I really think that it's a perfect love letter to that era of Marvel and to a lot of those characters. And for the first time, actually gave us a good Fantastic Four movie. I know, right? Like, who would have thought we would get a good Superman movie and a good Fantastic Four movie in 2025? And who who would have thought? So I will say my non-spoiler review really quick. No, wait, I already said my non-spoiler. I will give my spoiler review. So, Galactus is in this movie, and he wants Franklin Richards. That was crazy to me. I was like, I knew Galactus in the movie, but what's he want? What's going on? And he's like, I will spare your planet from being eaten. He has such a deep, raspy voice in this movie, and it's awesome. And in exchange for sparing your planet, give me your child. So he wants Franklin, and already right away Breed's like, no, I tested him. He's normal, as he says. He should have any powers whatsoever. And so that's a big conflict in the movie of how do we defeat Galactus? We don't know how to, and we told the world that we can save them, but the only way to save them is if we gave up our child, which we're not going to do. So what do we do? And it is something where it's like, what do you do in that case? Yeah, and Reed and Sue are a bit of at odds with each other because Reed, and here's what I'll say about like Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. He captures Reed's logical thinking very well, where he's like, I'm not gonna say that we should hand over Franklin, but scientifically and logically, it makes the most sense. And Sue's just like, what? How could you say that? And he's like, I would never actually give up Franklin, and she's just like she basically looks at him like there's something wrong with him. And he goes, yeah, you're right. I don't dream. I don't wonder. I think of all the bad things that could happen so that they can't happen to anyone else. And she says, yeah, and when you are you, you scare me. Which I was like, yep, that's Reed and Sue's relationship. That's what people don't understand. Like Reed is not this scientific guy that's like, oh, he's the Tim Story Fantastic Four movies portrayed him as like almost like a himbo. Like, oh, he's scientifically brilliant. He's big, dumb, smart, sweet man. He only knows science. Or it's like, no, Reed fully knows what's going on. He can't comprehend certain things, but Reed is very smart. And you can see the weight and the burden of being the smartest man on the planet and what that does to Reed and how everyone just looks to him as if like he's the only one that can do this. And Vanessa Kirby as Sue is amazing. She's very strong and very motherly and just so compassionate and sweet and cool and fun. And she she really embodied Sue Storm, and Sue's like my second favorite member of the FF. And so seeing her brought to life and just done proper justice and displaying how really powerful she is. Like she pushes Galactus. I was like, yeah, that's pretty powerful. Like, don't mess with Sue. And like I love the way that her powers are used. Like I love the reflecting of the light when she uses her invisibility powers. Like it looks really cool. And her relationship with Mole Man was interesting. And seeing her relationship with everyone else and how she cares for like Franklin was really good. And so Vanessa Kirby did an amazing job as Sue. You know who surprised me? Joseph Quinn as Johnny. I was surprised how much I really liked him in this movie. Like I was like, wow, Johnny is useful here. He translated Shia LaBeouf's language. And like he's integral to the plot, and he's not as dumb as we think he is. Yeah, he's a bit of a womanizer, but he's also someone who cares deeply about his family. Like he'll do anything to protect them. Like he loves them all. Even though he is the annoying little brother, he'll always be there for them and always be there for you. And to me, he got like one of the best lines in the movie, which was when he saw the Galactus being shoved into the wormhole. And he was like, oh no, like the only way to do it is someone's got to push him in. And, he calls Reed and he says to him, tell Franklin that Uncle Johnny loves him. And I started to get a little weepy eyed because I was like, oh, like they did a really good job of making me love Johnny in the movie, who was just so fun and so exciting and just hilarious. And Joseph Quinn, I've loved him since Stranger Things as Eddie Munson. So seeing him, uh, you know, be reborn as Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, was really fun. And, I loved him, and I think this might be one of the best interpretations of Johnny Storm. And then my favorite character of the movie, who yet had the least to do, and that's the Thing. Eben Moss Bacharach does an amazing Ben Grimm, and like there's a lot of little things, like him just like entertaining the kids, where he's like, "Oh, you want me to pick up this car? This car? Well, I can't do it." It's like, "Okay, I can do it," and then he and the way like he holds Franklin. Like his entire like forearm is like a beanbag chair. It's like a rocky beanbag chair for Franklin to just sit in. And he's like, I'm gonna watch the baby for a bit. Like I've been reading all the books. And like you just see him, like he's the one that helps deliver Franklin, and how like gentle he is and how funny he is, and the back and forth that he has with everybody. And someone pointed out that we don't really do this man, this monster very much anymore with Ben Grimm, that we're kind of like moving past the whole "I'm a rock monster. What the hell did you do to me, Reed?" Because, yeah, that's a little overplayed, I will admit that. But we get like a little hint of that, of like, even though he doesn't blame Reed anymore about the way he is. And even though like Reed's still hard on himself about it, he still Ben still is like, Reed, stop. You didn't know. He's like, I should have known. No, but you didn't. And guess what? You're not always the smartest guy on the planet. And that's okay. Like Ben is like, I'm not angry with you anymore. Like you're my best friend. I'm not going to be angry at you anymore. Even though he still has like a couple of moments where he's seeing Natasha Lyonne's character and he wants to go talk to her, but he sees himself in the mirror and he's like, can I really still have like a life like outside of the FF? And it's just really sad. Like he's he's such a sad character. But he's not like miserable in the whole movie. He's just has like those couple of moments. But overall, he's kind of chipper. And he's also a fantastic pilot. No pun intended. Because, everyone forgets Ben Grimm's an expert pilot. That's why he's part of the mission. And, I really loved all the cast and I bought all their chemistry. I thought their outfits looked really good. Like I actually think their costumes actually look kind of cool in the movie. Uh, I'm kind of cool with the Thing, like wearing a shirt, even though I think that looks a little weird. It's kind of fun, you know. Like I think it surprisingly looks good, and yeah, like the four I think are done justice. Granted, there's some deleted scenes, some more stuff, and that would have been cool, but you know, maybe one day we'll see the rest of the scenes and how they all played out. Now on to Silver Surfer. This one was a big point of contention for a lot of the grifter individuals out there. saying that like, oh, she was the worst part of the movie. Was she, or do you just not like women? I'm just convinced they just don't like women. That's me personally. Uh, I thought she was good in the movie. She was cool. They're obviously saving Norrin Rad, so them using Shala Balk makes sense. Because I'll talk about like why I think they're saving Norrin Rad in a bit. Uh, she was cool. Her motivation made sense, and she's the one that actually got like the big character development in the movie. Like the four don't change that much. They're put through the ringer, but aside from being maybe a little closer, uh, they primarily they primarily don't change. The person that changes is Shala Ball. She's the one that realizes Johnny helps her realize, oh, I don't need to stand with Galactus anymore. I can fight him and, you know, save Earth like the way that I saved my daughter on my home world. And it's re and it's really cool, and obviously the big one, Galactus. He was so awesome in this movie. I remember seeing the movie in IMAX for opening weekend, Thursday night. And I remember just looking up and I was like, oh my God, he's bigger than the IMAX screen. And it was, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I now live in a world where Galactus looks cool in live action. Like, this is insane. And yeah, and I was just like blown away, and his motivation made sense. And I love that they made sure, like, even though Galactus wants to kidnap Franklin, he's not doing it out of like, hee, I like to steal children, hee. Like, he's not evil, so to say, is more of he's a force of nature. He's doing this because he wants to be relieved of this eternal hunger he has. So he's like, I gotta. Franklin is the only one who can uh, have the same amount of power as I do and remain, like he can carry on my power. I can be at rest. I don't need to eat planets anymore. Like, this is not fun for me. And I'm also glad they didn't kill him, that they just shoved him in a wormhole at the other side of the universe. And so we just don't know when we're going to see him again. I was a little annoyed by people being like, why does Galactus look so tiny? One, he can change his shape. And two, Galactus is not bigger than the Earth. Like, I need people to stop thinking that in their mind. But what about that image of like Galactus holding Earth in his hand? That's a hologram. Galactus, he can get that big if he wanted to. Maybe. Um, I do think that like he can't get bigger than a celestial. Celestials are like the biggest they can get, or the Eternity, or the Living Tribunal. Uh, and I don't think I want to get into Marvel cosmic stuff right now. That's a topic for a different day. But overall, um, like I really was happy with his power set. I thought his design looked great. I thought his ship looked great. Like the science of explaining it all was really cool. I'm surprised they didn't get into that Galactus feeds on antimatter, and that's why he devours planets. But I did like the science part of like Reed being like, okay, I have an idea on how we can evade Galactus. Let's transport the Earth somewhere else. And everyone had the exact same thought of taking one thing from one place and bringing it to another.
We should take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else!
It was cool, it was interesting, it was fun, and they played with a lot of the science there, and it was dope. Uh, I also I thought the world was very interesting of how 1960s it was and how retro future it was. And like, you really got the chance to like, you didn't need to worry about continuity, which was nice. And it felt like a very comic booky world. I'll be honest, I kind of get a little like I've seen the movie 3 times in theaters. I get a little weepy-eyed every time I watch the like opening montage of them like saving the day. And then there's the kids being like, "Thank you, Fantastic Four," and you see all the thanking and the theme rise and them doing heroics, and I'm brought to tears because it reminds me of an era of superheroism that doesn't exist anymore. You know, like the hero worship there in that movie doesn't feel gross or weird because I think now I'm used to hero worship being gross and weird in this world, like a parasocial relationship people have with celebrities, and then that started getting transferred into like superhero media, and we see it, and now we're kind of like over that because like the boys especially, uh, covered that heavily. And then I remember the Avengers video game coming out, and it starts with like A Day, where like it's a big like Avengers themed day, merchandise and candy and everything like that, and backpacks and drinks, and you get to meet the Avengers and pictures in the paper and all of that, and key to the city. And I think after seeing that game, someone pointed out that them doing that in a world post the boys just feels gross. Yes, the Avengers are much more heroic than the Seven are, but it still just feels weird, you know? But this one just in the Fantastic Four felt more wholesome and like, just seeing like how technologically advanced the world is and getting to see some of the crazy supervillains like Mole Man. We even saw the super apes and a couple of weird robots, and we got references to other villains that I wish we could see, which I'm now very curious how they're gonna do the sequel. But yeah, like Matt Shackman was great for this. I loved his work on WandaVision. Excuse me. I loved his work on WandaVision, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else he has to offer for Marvel in the future with the FF. I know the box office was struggling a little bit, but after the good word of Fantastic Four, I think it started going up more, and now we're at a place where I think a sequel is definitely more definite rather than, Thunderbolts, which is the super movie I love the most this year. Like, this year's been tough for me, but like the three super movies that have carried me so far this year that have great themes is like Thunderbolts, the theme is You Are Not Alone. Superman, uh, Be Kind to Others. Fantastic Four, Love Your Family. And then there's Captain America, Brave New World, which is send $50 million to Israel right now. I'm just kidding. They actually don't go over that subject in the movie, which I was afraid they were. I was like, I don't think we really need any Israel stuff right now. Um Captain America Brave New World. I really wanted to like that movie. I really did. I really, really did. Because I have no problem with Sam being Cap. That's not my problem with the movie. The movie was a General Ross movie that still had a weak plot to it. Like it was trying to do too much and was rewritten too much. So that's why I didn't do a review on this channel because I didn't want to. I didn't see the movie in theaters, and then when I saw it at home, I didn't really want to talk about it. Yeah, I don't even get me started on the leader. So, but back to a good movie. Fantastic Four: First Steps is really great. Franklin is adorable. And he's also kind of a Deus Ex Machina in a way, because he revived Sue from the dead. Which I was like, yeah, I believe Franklin can do that. Like Franklin is that powerful. People are like, really? This baby is the most powerful being in the Marvel universe, but he's a baby. And I'm like, I mean, look, he's a mutant with cosmic level powers. So don't mess with Franklin. And I hope one day that we get some cool stuff with adult Franklin, like we did in a bunch of the Hickman stuff. Like I love in Hickman's Fantastic Four run, Franklin visiting his younger self from the future, and then eventually in the run we see adult Franklin control Galactus, and he's like, "Rise, my Galactus," and he's his herald, and it's dope. Um, we also, I would also love to see something similar to in Hickman's Avengers run, where um, you know, in the issue, Steve Rogers is trying to figure out like how do we stop the worlds colliding and and all of that. And so he's brought to the future by Franklin Richards. He's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "It's me, Franklin. I'm just all grown up now." He's like, "Wow, oh my gosh, you look like your mom." He's like, "Yeah, right." Um, and so he's like standing on like a tree, like a big tree in the middle of space. And so Cap's looking around. He's like, "Oh my gosh, what is this tree?" And Franklin's like, "Don't eat that fruit. You don't want to." And so he gives him some advice on what to do and says, "Go with your gut and see where it takes you," and a bunch of other stuff like that. And then he sends Steve on his merry way back through time. Uh, then Franklin says, "You think they're gonna take my advice whatsoever?" And then the tree in space goes, "I am Groot." And he's like, "Yeah, you're right. They probably won't." Which I was like, "Oh, that's so awesome." Groot grows into a giant tree in space. I think that's cool. And becomes friends with Franklin. So yes, now Franklin is the most powerful MCU character. And now I think that power scalers are gonna lose their fucking minds. Yeah. Oh, and I also got to mention real quick, Herbie the robot. He was cute. I'm glad they included him. I was like, "Hey, it's Herbie. We haven't seen you in forever." And their fantastic car was cool. I don't think they referenced it. Like, did they call it the Baxter Building? I don't remember them calling it the Baxter Building in the movie. Although I did find this out. Not a single time in the whole movie does Johnny say flame on. The only time you hear flame on is when he has the little action figure from the cereal box. And when you torque it, he goes, "Flame on, flame on, flame on." That's the only time. Although, however, we do hear Ben say, "It's clobbering time." And, everyone lost in the theater. Biggest surprise of this movie for me was how much my sister enjoyed this movie. That when I saw it the third time, I saw it with her. She was like, "I'd be cool with seeing the movie," and she was interested, but I don't think she was like, it's probably gonna just be okay." And then we walked out of the movie, and she was like, "I really, really liked that. When's it gonna come out on Disney Plus?" And so I think it comes out either this week or the next. And so she's super excited for that. She's loving it, and yeah, and so that's gonna be a fun movie night. Yeah, yeah. Fantastic Four, First Steps. Uh, I would say it's definitely my third favorite of this year. Yeah, for superhero movies. I mean, my favorite movie of the year is Sinners. I don't think there's any way that movie's gonna get beaten for me this year. But yeah, I'd give Fantastic Four like a 8 out of 10. Still think it's a really good movie. The more I watch it, the more I enjoy it. So yeah, I highly recommend it. So now, um, sorry, I'm just getting a text here. Oh, one last thing I wanted to talk about before I go. I've been watching Peacemaker recently. Holy shit. Holy shit. Peacemaker's good. I think Peacemaker is now one of my favorite shows. I just saw episode 5 last week. I think it's amazing. I think that James Gunn is hitting it out of the ballpark with this one. I don't know if I like it more than the first season yet. There's 3 more episodes that might change. Uh, but yeah, like Peacemaker's really trying. Like he really wants to be a hero. He doesn't want to be viewed as this bad guy anymore or this asshole, or as some people think of him as a racist superhero. But he's like, no, I'm not a racist. My dad was, but not me. And in the first episode, he tries to audition for the Justice Gang, which I know that name's not going to stick forever. It's Maxwell Lord, Hawkgirl, and Guy Gardner Green Lantern, and they're just complete and utter assholes. I was like, yep, that's very in character for them. Maybe not so much for Hawkgirl can be a jerk sometimes. Guy Gardner, absolutely. I remember when they discovered that Peacemaker could hear everything they're saying.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah?
And, now?
Yes.
Fuck.
And Maxwell Lord was like, Mr. Smith, I am so, so sorry. And after he said that, I was like, no, you're not. You're not sorry. You're not sorry. You're only sorry that he heard what you said, you dickheads. Like, like those guys are jerks. And I'm just like, Peacemaker, don't join the Justice Gang. Wait until they're the League. When they're the League, try again. Because then Superman will be part of it. And Batman and Wonder Woman. And those guys are far more heroic and good natured individuals. And if you get on their good side, they might consider you more than Maxwell Lord, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl. But yeah, show's been good so far. Was really surprised to see Joel Kinnaman back. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Joel Kinnaman. Like I've loved him ever since I first saw him 10 years ago when I watched the rebooted RoboCop. I really liked him in that movie and liked him in the Suicide Squad and Altered Carbon and even though I only watched one episode of that show. And I've been happy every time I see him in anything. I'm always happy. So I'm always going to be a Joel Kinnaman supporter. And Frank Grillo's killing it this year. When Creature Commando, Superman, and uh, Peacemaker, we're getting some really good stuff. And ever since I saw Michael Rooker in Peacemaker, I'm now kind of been more obsessed with him. Like recently, I've been watching The Walking Dead with my buddy Devin every Friday. And I remember seeing Michael Rooker in The Walking Dead, and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot Michael Rooker was in this show. He's like, yeah, he's Merle, Daryl's older brother, who was a racist and a drug addict and an asshole. So I was like, oh, so Daryl's the good one. It's like, yeah, Daryl's the good one. But yeah, Michael Rooker, I love him. Anytime I see him in anything, he's amazing. But yeah, Peacemaker has been great. Walking Dead so far has been great. I just finished the first episode of the third season. uh, where they're in the prison, which anybody that's listening that loves The Walking Dead is going to be like, "Oh my gosh, The Walking Dead, the prison arc, that's like that's the best thing ever." And I'm like, I'll have to see for myself and judge that. Then I will blow it up and be like, "Oh my God, the prison arc, the greatest thing ever." Let me just finish the season first, and then we'll get through that. So, yeah, that's kind of all I got for today, and I'll post when the I'm going to do the final episode of the show. We will rebrand and rename things, and hopefully my PC should be done by then. We'll see what happens. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and YouTube and subscribe to Spotify. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching and have a good day. Bye.